Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our daily sessions on Krishna's Dwaraka Leelas. In the previous episode, we have seen how Krishna kidnapped Rukmini and married Rukmini. And this is the first marriage of Krishna with Rukmini Devi. And today we will see two more marriages of Krishna with Jambavati and Satyabhama. So these two marriages of Krishna happen in this episode of Shamantakamani pastime within the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is described in the 56th and 57th chapters. And this episode begins like this. And this one Shamantaka jewel episode gives so many lessons on misunderstanding in this material world. In this material world, even the Supreme Lord Krishna is misunderstood. That is very wonderfully depicted in this beautiful episode. And attachment to material wealth is also depicted in this world. What kind of repercussions it could bring, that we can see as the pastime unfolds. These are like some prominent lessons in this beautiful episode of Shamantaka jewel. In Dwaraka Dham, Sukadeva Goswami narrates, in the Dwaraka Dham, there is a personality named Satrajit. And this Satrajit is a very wealthy person. And although he is staying in the abode of Krishna, Dwaraka Dham, still he worshipped a devata named Surya, the sun god. So he was a worshipper of sun god, although he is a resident of Dwaraka. And he pleased sun god so much that sun god became so impressed with this Satrajit and gave him a beautiful jewel called Shamantaka Mani. Mani means jewel, a precious jewel. So Krishna, this Satrajit received this Shamantaka Mani from the sun god. And sun god was very pleased with his devotee to offer this gift. And Satrajit wore this Shamantaka Mani, which is so shining, so effulgent. So he was coming into this Dwaraka city. As Satrajit received this Shamantaka Mani from sun god and he was entering Dwaraka city, all the Dwarkavasis started feeling that, oh, maybe sun god is coming to Dwaraka to meet Krishna. So they saw the effulgence of this Shamantaka Mani and they mistook Satrajit to be sun god. Very innocently, they went and reported to Krishna. Krishna, sun god is coming to meet you. Krishna asked, sun god is coming to meet me. How do you know that? Then they said, we are seeing one very effulgent personality. And Krishna, being the all-knower and being the all-pervading personality of Godhead, he is the super soul of every single living being. So he very well knows that it is not sun god, it is Satrajit. So Krishna told these innocent citizens, oh citizens, don't get overexcited. It's not sun god, it is Satrajit, who received a gift called Shamantaka Mani from sun god. And because Shamantaka Mani is so effulgent, you are misunderstanding that he is sun god. So sometimes we may see the external glare of an object or external demeanor of a person, and we could attribute more glory and more importance to that person or an object without rationally and truthfully understanding what exactly it is and what exactly he is. So Satrajit was conceived to be sun god. So in this material world, people could get illusioned. They may see something and they assume something else. They may imagine something else which may not be the truth. So Krishna revealed this truth to the citizens of Dwaraka. Out of their innocence, they were thinking that Satrajit to be sun god. So this Shamantaka Mani is said to be very auspicious jewel. Shamantaka Mani can produce 8 bharas of gold and wealth every single day. It's like several kilos of gold would come out of this Shamantaka jewel And wherever the Shamantaka jewel is there, there would not be any famine or drought or any inauspiciousness or untimely death. All these things will not happen. So Shamantaka Mani not only bestows lot of material wealth on a daily basis, it also bestows auspiciousness and good fortune and prosperity in the area, in the place wherever it stays. So that is Shamantaka Mani's glory. And after all, having said all these things, Shamantaka Mani is a material object and which is a product of demigod worship. It is a product of worshipping a devata. And now, although the glory of Shamantaka Mani is being spoken like this, we need to understand that the glory of Dwaraka Dham is the presence of Krishna. So no auspicious object can be as auspicious as Krishna. When Krishna is personally present, causing the greatest prosperity and welfare and auspiciousness and good fortune for entire humanity and entire universe, what to speak of only Dwaraka Dham, how can this Shamantaka Mani, being so insignificant material object, be the cause of supreme auspiciousness for people? So we need to understand who is more glorious, which has to be given more respect to. So here Krishna is personally present in Dwaraka Dham, and the auspiciousness caused by Shamantaka Mani is not that significant compared to Krishna's presence, but still it's a material object, and it's a gift of sun god to his worshipper Satrajit, and Satrajit valued it so much. So Satrajit, wearing this Shamantaka jewel, he entered this palace. He had a very beautiful opulent palace in Dwaraka, and then he entered the palace and he kept this Shamantaka jewel on the altar, and he started worshipping the Shamantaka jewel, and every day he would derive 8 bharas of gold from the Shamantaka jewel. And Satyajit had a very beautiful daughter named Satyabhama. Satyabhama is a manifestation of Krishna's internal potency. She's one of the favorite, she would be the one of the favorite queens of Krishna after some time as the pastime unfolds. Now, Satyajit placed this jewel in his house's temple room, and Krishna once visited Satyajit. So it is common for people to go and take darshan of this Shamantaka jewel. And once Krishna went to Satyajit's house and then saw this beautiful Shamantaka jewel and advised Satyajit, my dear Satyajit, you have such a wonderful auspicious jewel. Actually, this kind of jewel is supposed to be kept with the king. You better surrender this Shamantaka jewel to Ugrasena. So Krishna said this, and sometimes some people might find a fault with Krishna's advice to Satyajit also, because Satyajit has earned it. He personally worshipped Suryadev, and then Suryadev gave it as a gift. It's his personal property. Why should Krishna ask Satyajit to do it? To surrender it to the king? So the reason is, Krishna being the well-wisher of Satyajit, he thought that Satyajit alone cannot handle. Now this one Shamantaka jewel is providing lot of gold, 8 bharas of gold every single day. In a month, you will get 18 to 30 bharas of gold, and in 1 year it will become so huge, and Satyajit's treasury will be filled, and then there is more and more gold coming out, a lot, and then one person cannot handle all that. If this jewel is with the king, who rules the whole kingdom and who takes care of the welfare of all the citizens of Dwaraka, if the king is having this kind of jewel, he can utilize all this wealth for the prosperity, for the welfare, and for the assistance of all the people. So what can potentially be enjoyed by hundreds and thousands and millions of people cannot be enjoyed by one person. One thing, he does not have the capacity to handle this wealth. So now these are the beginning days of Satyajit's association with the Shamantaka jewel. As time progresses, his house will be filled with gold, and what will he do with all this? And he is not in a ruling position. He is like one of the prominent members in the Dwaraka city, but he was not the ruler, he was not the king of Dwaraka. So this kind of object is supposed to be with the king. And Krishna's advice is very rational and very logical. But Satyajit could not give any value to Krishna's advice. Satrajit dared to deny Krishna's suggestion also, being a resident of Dwaraka. And Satrajit was so attached to this material object Shamantakamani. He was so greedy for the wealth that is given by this Shamantakamani. And he said to Krishna, Krishna, this is my thing. You should not be asking like this. Why should I surrender it to the king? So Satrajit just denied the order given, denied the suggestion given by Krishna. So once after Satrajit denied the suggestion of Krishna, once Satrajit's brother Prasenajit, he went to the forest for hunting. So Satrajit had a brother named Prasenajit, and Prasenajit went for hunting wearing the Shamantaka jewel in his neck. So Shamantaka jewel is not only placed on the altar of the temple room, Shamantaka jewel is also used as a ornament. So this person just wore the Shamantaka jewel and showing off his opulence. This Prasenajit went on his horse to the forest to do some hunting. So at that time, one lion came and killed Prasenajit and killed the horse and took this Shamantaka jewel and went into the forest. And this lion was killed by the great bear named Jambavan, who also participated in Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. It was Jambavan who inspired Hanumanji to cross this Lanka ocean in Ramayana. So Jambavan was an associate of Lord Ramachandra, and now Jambavan is living in that forest, and Jambavan killed that lion and then took that Samantaka jewel and gave it as a plaything to his small child. So that's what has happened to Prasenajit. But Prasenajit, because he was killed in the forest, he did not come back to home by the end of the day. Then Satrajit became very anxious. Satrajit became very doubtful. So he went to Krishna and blamed Krishna. Krishna, you must have killed my brother. You must have taken the Shamantaka jewel. You came to my house and you asked the Shamantaka jewel. You told me to give it to Ugrasena and I said no to you. So you must have killed my brother and you must have taken the Shamantaka jewel. You must be very greedy for Shamantaka jewel. So like that, Satrajit blamed Krishna unnecessarily without knowing the facts. So as soon as when he came to know that his brother Prasenajit did not return back with the Shamantaka jewel by the end of the day, he immediately doubted Krishna. He was very suspicious. So our attachment to a material object could make us offensive even to God, even to innocent people. So when somebody is too attached to material objects, one can deny the instructions of God, one can even blame God. So Satrajit first he denied the instruction, denied the suggestion of Krishna. Krishna told him to give the Shamantaka jewel to Ugrasena. Satrajit said no. That's one offense. To deny the instruction of the Lord is one offense. Second offense is to doubt Krishna, to blame him as a thief, to unnecessarily, without knowing the facts, just accusing somebody accusing somebody as a thief is like really a great offense, and Satrajit has done that offense. In childhood, Krishna must have stolen butter, and that many people know. And Satrajit is now saying that you have stolen my Shamantaka money. When all the gopis of Vrindavan came and complained on Krishna in front of Mother Yashoda, very lovingly they said that Krishna is coming to our houses and stealing butter. So they were loving complaints. So Krishna is called as a thief by his beloved devotees, the gopis, out of their pure love. But Satrajit called Krishna as a thief not out of pure love, out of greed for a material object, out of arrogance, out of misunderstanding, out of suspicion. So there was malice in his heart. So there was like over boldness and over confidence in concluding and judging and labeling Krishna as a thief without knowing the facts. So Krishna was a bit surprised that Satrajit is saying like this. So when Satrajit blamed Krishna as a thief, there were some murmurs in the city of Dwaraka also. Some people who have poor consciousness, not everybody, Dwaraka city is filled with so many devotees of Krishna, but there are also few people who have some discordant mentality, who were like having a similar nature or nature close to Satrajit's nature. So they started murmuring amongst themselves, and they started thinking that, oh, Krishna must have stolen. Maybe he has taken Shamantak money. So like that, some people also were suspicious. So general public started whispering this with one another. Then Krishna heard, and Krishna, being a responsible prince, he wanted to just remove this blemish on his character. So he's a prince in the Yadu dynasty, in the Dwaraka city, and he has erected Dwaraka city. And now the people who are living in the Dwaraka city are seeing him like a thief. Not everyone, there are some people, especially Satrajit. So Krishna immediately wanted to remove this imposed contamination on his character, and he asked for some time, and he wanted some time for himself to prove that he is innocent. So he wanted to remove the stain on his reputation, and he took some of his citizens, some confidential citizens. So he went to search for Prasenajit. So Krishna started traversing the path of Prasena. Oh, Prasena left his home, and then he went on his horse in this direction. So Krishna went in that direction along with few associates. So then he saw the dead body of Prasenajit, and he also saw the dead horse there. So both Prasena and the horse were killed by a lion there. So he found them there. And then after that, he found the footprints of the lion, and then he traversed that path. And then the lion went in a certain direction. Krishna followed that path of lion. And he saw that a great, he could imagine, he could understand that this lion was also killed by a great bear. So this, as Krishna found this dead lion on mountain side. So he found a cave there. So near that mountain, so there is a dark and deep cave, and Krishna reached that cave, and he saw the dead body of lion, and he told the citizens, whoever was accompanying Krishna, he told, you stay outside, let me go inside the cave and explore. Krishna is the super soul, he knows everything. Just to create some intrigue and astonishment in his pastimes, Krishna is searching. If Krishna could sit in Dwaraka and then meditate and then just get the Shamantakamani in his hand and then give it to Satrajit and say, see, you unnecessarily blamed me. So just imitating the behavior of human beings, so Krishna, and to increase some excitement and astonishment in his pastimes, Adbhuta Rasa in his pastimes, so Krishna is following this path. He was just following the path of Prasenajit, and he finds that Prasenajit and horse died, and then he follows the path of lion, and he goes to the mountain side. He sees a cave, and he enters the cave, and he tells his associates to stay outside the cave, and then Krishna entered the cave, and Krishna knows whose cave it was. It was the cave of Jambavan. So Jambavan was a great devotee. Although people give a lot of credit to Hanumanji for jumping across this Lanka ocean, it was Jambavan who actually inspired Hanumanji, and he reminded Hanumanji of his prowess so to cross this Lanka ocean. So when Sampati told that one Rakshasa, Ravana basically, he was kidnapping Sita Devi, and then he took her across this ocean in his Pushpaka Viman. So when all the monkey soldiers accompanying Angada, Hanuman, Nila, Nala, and Jambavan, and so many other monkey soldiers of Sugriva, so they were searching for Sita Devi, and they came on the shore of this ocean, and they came to know that Lanka, Sita is held in captive in Lanka because of this Ravana, so they have to cross that ocean. So everybody was saying that I can cross 10 yojanas, I can cross 20 yojanas, I can cross 50 yojanas, or I can cross 100 yojanas, but I cannot come back. Like the different people were mentioning about their capabilities to accomplish this task. But Hanumanji, who had this capability, but he was silent. So Jambavan went and reminded Hanumanji of his glorious and unparalleled powers, and then Hanumanji increased his size, and then he jumped across the ocean. So Jambavan was a very important, significant personality who assisted Lord Ramachandra in his pastimes in Ramayana. So that Jambavan is staying in this cave now during the appearance of Krishna. So Krishna entered this cave, and Krishna saw that that Shamantaka jewel was made into a plaything. So he saw a child, and the child had a nurse also. The child's nurse cried out in fear. So Jambavan heard her cries and then came out. So Krishna was standing there, so beautiful form. And Jambavan could not immediately recognize Krishna. So Krishna was non-different from Lord Ramachandra. So Rama and Krishna are same. Ramadi Murti Sukala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavatar Makarot Bhavaneshu Krintu. So Jambavan was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. But when that same Ram came in the form of Krishna in front of Jambavan, Jambavan could not recognize him. Jambavan thought that, oh, this person, this human being has come here to take this jewel or to cause some disturbance in my child's play. So he became angry upon Krishna and he started fighting with Krishna. So thinking Krishna to be an ordinary man. So they fought furiously. They were so determined to win over each other. So Jambavan and Krishna, they were lifting trees and they were lifting this boulders and then throwing at each other. Like that they fought for 28 days continuously. There is a reason why this has happened. Jambavan could not recognize Krishna as Ramachandra, and Jambavan fought with Krishna for 28 days. There is a reason for this. Because Jambavan had a desire to fight with the proper combat. Jambavan had the track record of circumambulating Lord Trivikrama. When Vamanadev came and then begged Bali Maharaj 3 pieces of land, then Vamanadev became Trivikrama and he covered the entire universe with his 2 footsteps. So at that time Jambavan circumambulated, did pradakshina, did parikrama of Vamanadev. He is so powerful personality. And Jambavan participated in Lord Ramachandra's pastimes and he had a desire to fight. So like sometimes devotees also have a desire to fight in Virya Rasa. And Lord also has a desire to fight, to exhibit his Virya Rasa. And now when Jambavan had a desire to fight and he did not find a proper match, although he participated in this Ramayana war also, still he did not find a proper opponent who can offer him a good fight. So he saw that Lord Ramachandra is a very great warrior. He could kill even Kumbhakarna and Ravana also. So Jambavan went to Ram and said, can you please offer me a fight? Just let's fight with each other, just for fun, just to have that fighting pleasure. Then Ram said, no, you are my devotee and I'm Maryada Purushottam. I can fight with demons and unscrupulous people, miscreants. How can I fight with my own devotees? It doesn't look good. Because I am very sober and gentle. I have a very gentle demeanor. I am very ideal in my character as a good king and good husband and good brother and a good son. So I won't be able to fight with my own devotee like you. But I will fulfill your desire, definitely, in future. So Jambavan had a desire to fight with Ram. So now Ram came in the form of Krishna and Jambavan fought with Krishna. And because Jambavan had this desire to fight with Krishna or Ram, by fight with the Supreme Lord, Jambavan could not recognize Krishna as Lord Ramachandra. So that is Jambavan's story. And now Krishna also had a story. So Krishna also had a desire to fight. So Krishna fought with so many demons. He killed so many demons including Putana, Trinavarth, Bakasur, Vatsasur, Sakatasur, Vyomasur, Aghasur, Keshi, Arishtasur. Like that he killed so many demons and he also fought with Dhenukasur and other people. And after coming out of Vrindavan and entering Mathura, Krishna fought with Kuvalaya Pida. And then he fought with the Rizzlers, Chanura, Mushtika, Shala, Toshala, Kuta. And then he fought with Kamsa. And after that, after killing Kamsa, Krishna fought with Jarasandha's armies 17 times. And after fighting with Jarasandha also, Krishna fought with Kalayavana. There was no fight actually. Krishna killed Kalayavana through Muchukunda. So like that, Krishna had an experience of fighting with so many demons and demoniac people and materialistic people, but Krishna's desire to fight has not been fulfilled. And Krishna also fought with Sridhama, Sudama, all these cowhead boys. That's a very sweet fight, loving fight. It's not like a big war. So Krishna had a desire to fight, but he could not fulfill his desire to fight even after fighting with so many demons, because none of them are capable of offering a good fight to Krishna. Krishna has so much of strength, and these people are so weak and so insignificant. What fighting pleasure they can give to Krishna? You can fight with a person who has proper strength. So Krishna did not find all these demons strong enough to fight with him. So Krishna was looking for a proper combat, proper person who can offer him a good fight. And that proper person is Jambavan. So Krishna had this desire to fight. So Krishna fulfilled that desire to fight with Jambavan. And after 28 days of fighting, when Krishna is satisfied with this fighting experience, then Jambavan could understand that Krishna is not different from Ram. So Jambavan had a desire to fight, Krishna had a desire to fight. So both of them fought with each other for 28 days. So in these 28 days, they both fought with each other like enemies only. So Jambavan did not recognize Krishna. And after 28 days of fight, when Jambavan also was tired and Krishna was also satisfied in this fight, then Jambavan could recognize Krishna. Even to please Krishna with a fight also, even to give fighting pleasure to Krishna also, Krishna needs a devotee only. None of the materialistic people and none of the demoniac people are capable of satisfying Krishna even in fighting. What to speak of loving and worshipping? Only devotee can serve Krishna in all possible ways. That's why four Kumaras cursed Jaya and Vijaya, the doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, and this Jaya and Vijaya came to this earthly planet. In 3 lifetimes, they fought with Krishna, fought with the various incarnations of the Lord and gave him fighting pleasure. Because Krishna has a desire to fight, the Supreme Lord Vishnu has a desire to fight, but he cannot fight with any of the Vaikuntha Vasis, Vaikuntha residents in Vaikuntha Loka. So he had sent Jaya and Vijaya to this material world. From Vaikuntha, he had sent them to the material world through this medium of Kumara's curse. And then they became demons here and Krishna fought with them. So Jaya and Vijaya became Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu in their first life. And the Lord took the form of Varahadev and killed Hiranyaksha. And in the form of Narasimhadev, he killed Hiranyakashipu. And in the second life, Hiranyaksha, this Jaya and Vijaya became Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And Lord Ramachandra fought with Kumbhakarna and Ravana and killed them. And in the third life, they became Shishupal and Dantavakra, and Krishna killed them. So like that, Krishna arranges his own devotees to participate in his pastimes in the roles of demons or envious people, and he fights with them and enjoys pleasure. So even to offer a fighting pleasure to Krishna also, Krishna needs devotees. So Jambavan offered this good fight to Krishna, and Krishna was satisfied and Jambavan was also satisfied. And now Jambavan could understand that this Krishna is not different from my dear Lord Ramachandra. And he says, my dear Lord, out of ignorance, I could not recognize you. So now Jambavan's not recognizing Krishna as Lord Ramachandra can be seen from 2 perspectives. Number 1, to fulfill his own desire to fight with the Lord, and to fulfill the Lord's desire to fight with a proper devotee, proper combat. Then secondly, when we are so desirous and greedy and when we have some material affection or attachment to something, we cannot recognize the Lord. So Jambavan wanted to offer that plaything, Shamantakamani, to his child. So he thought that Krishna has come to take away the Shamantakamani, take away that jewel. So Jambavan was attached to that. Jambavan was thinking that, oh, this money should be with us only, not with this human being. So because of that attachment, he could not see the Lord. So that is like one perspective. When we are attached to something material, we cannot recognize the Lord. But ultimately the deeper reason is they both had to fight with each other to satisfy each other. That's a transcendental pastime between the Lord and his beautiful devotee. So now Jambavan offered prayers to the Lord. Jambavan said, my dear Lord, Now I can recognize that you are the super soul of all living beings. You are the original person. You are Lord Vishnu. You are Lord Ramachandra. You are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe. You are the subduer of so many enemies. And you impelled the ocean. Who built the bridge to establish his fame? So Lord Ramachandra built a stone bridge across the ocean. And you are that same Lord Ramachandra. You killed Ravana. So like that, Jambavan offered prayers and praises to Krishna. And then finally, Jambavan said that the Lord touched Jambavan's body and relieved him from all the pains of the fight. And then he showed his sublime compassion, saying that we have come here for this jewel. So Krishna gave the backstory of his arrival to his cave, and Jambavan offered, very happily, Jambavan offered this Shamantaka jewel to Krishna. And Jambavan also had a very beautiful daughter named Jambavati. So Krishna, our Jambavan offered this Shamantaka mani along with this Kanyamani, along with this Jambavati also to Krishna. So Krishna has got his second wife named Jambavati, and he retrieved this Shamantaka jewel. So Shamantaka mani. So this Shamantaka mani pastime is very unique in the sense that this one Shamantaka mani, which is supposed to be causing auspiciousness to the person who possesses it and supposed to be causing auspiciousness to the place where it stays, it has become the cause of inauspiciousness in the life of Satyajit. Because of attachment to this material object, Satyajit has blamed Krishna as a thief, and he denied Krishna's instruction. So Satyajit felt so guilty now. So Krishna came back to Dwarka, and because 28 days Krishna was there inside the cave fighting with Jambavan, the people outside the cave and all the relatives of Krishna, they were becoming very anxious. They were becoming so anxious that, oh, what happened to Krishna? What happened to Krishna? It's all part of pastime only. These people know the prowess of Krishna, but at the same time, they are very concerned about Krishna's safety and protection. So these Dwarkavasis became very concerned about Krishna, and they were anxious, and Krishna came out. They were even worshipping Ambika also, Durga also, and praying for Krishna's safety as a part of this pastime. Then Krishna came along with Jambavati and the Shamantakamani and offered the Shamantakamani back to Satyajit, and Satyajit was feeling so guilty. Krishna narrated the whole incident. So I have not killed your brother. I have not stolen your Shamantakamani. This is what has happened. Take this money back. So Satyajit became so guilty and so repentant, and he thought, I have to give something to Krishna. And he has this unmarried, beautiful, young daughter, Satyabhama. And Satyajit also promised the hand of Satyabhama to other popular personalities, other people like Shatadhanva and Kritavarma, like that. There are few people. Satyajit promised the hand of Satyabhama to other people, also qualified people whom he thought qualified. But later Satyajit changed his decision and thought, Krishna is the qualified husband for my daughter. So let me give my daughter in marriage to Krishna. So Krishna offered Satyabhama as a wife to Krishna, and he also offered Shamantakamani also. You only accept this. Then Krishna said, I can accept this Kanyamani, this Satyabhama, but I cannot accept this Shamantakamani. You only keep it. I have no interest in this. So seeing Krishna's detachment and renounced spirit, our Satyajit became quite surprised also. So in this way, Krishna got his two wives, Jambavati, second wife, and Satyabhama, third wife. And these two wives came through this Shamantakamani episode. So Krishna himself is like a mani, he is like a jewel. He is the ornament of all ornaments. Param Padam Bhushana Bhushanangam. Mukundamala Stotra says that Bhakta Paya Bhujanga Garudamani Trailokya Rakshamani Gopi Lochana Chatakam Budamani Saundarya Mudramani Yah kantamani rukmini ghanakucha dvandvaika bhushamani shreyadeva sikhamani dishatuno gopala chudamani. In this shloka of Mukundamala Stotra, there are 8 manis. We also discussed this shloka before. So, Bhakta Paya Bhujanga Garuda Mani. Krishna sits on the back of Garuda, who was like a huge mountain, golden mountain. On top of this golden mountain, Krishna looks like a blue mani, like a blue sapphire. Bhakta Paya Bhujanga Garuda Mani. Trailokya Rakshamani. So in this way, coming on the back of Garuda, this beautiful jewel-like Krishna would protect all the devotees from the material existence. He would rescue all the devotees in all the 3 planetary systems from this material existence. Gopi lochana chatakam buddhamani saundarya mudramani. So Krishna is that kind of mani which is compared to cloud, and gopis are like chataka birds waiting for the raindrops coming from this cloud. So these chataka birds will not drink any water that is available in any water reservoir or in any river in this world. So they will just wait for the droplets of water coming from the clouds. So Krishna, that similarly gopis also drink the nectarian beauty of Krishna's form only and no one else. That's why Krishna is called Ambudamani. He is like a jewel-like cloud. Saundarya Mudramani. He is like that jewel which is collection of all beauties. And Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani. There is Kantamani, means best of all women. That is Rukmini Devi. Yah Kantamani Rukmini Ghanakucha Dvandvaika Bhushamani. Krishna is like the ornament, the beautiful jeweled ornament on the heart of Rukmini Devi, who herself is like a mani, like a jewel. And Shreyo Deva Sikhamani Dishatuno Gopala Chudamani. And Krishna is like precious jewel, crest jewel of all cowhead community. And let that jewel-like Lord bestow His mercy upon us. So Rukmini Devi is best of Krishna's consorts. She is called Kantamani. And Krishna is called Gopala Chudamani. And he has this gift now, Shamantakamani, which he has written, but he has accepted 2 Kanyamanis. They are Satyabhama and Jambavati. So like that, Krishna's 3 marriages had happened. After Krishna's marriage with Satyabhama, this Satrajit was alone in his house along with Samantakamani. Satrajit was so impressed with the renunciation of Krishna, and Satrajit took the Samantakamani back and went to his house. Then there are, in that context, after Krishna's marriage with Satyabhama, Krishna heard a news that in Hastinapur something inauspicious and peculiar has happened. Basically, at that time, the Pandavas were sent to stay in a house made of lac by Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra and this other party. So, and Duryodhan had pre-planned to burn Pandavas alive in that house of lac. So they were made to live in this house of lac, and Duryodhan had set fire to that lac house. And Pandavas are believed to have died in that lac house. When the lac house was burnt, then Pandavas who were living in that house, it's a belief that they died. So they were not seen. House was burnt and Pandavas are not seen. Actually, Pandavas have dug a hole from inside the house and they escaped from that hole, that too by the blessings of Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna. And then they just escaped. They were hiding. They were not revealing themselves. So everybody thought that Pandavas died. And this news of the death of Pandavas, so-called death of Pandavas, came to Dwaraka also. And Krishna and Balaram went to Hastinapur to console the relatives there. So actually, Duryodhan, Dushyasan, then Dhritarashtra, all these people were crying apparently for the death of Pandavas, and some of them were quite happy also. Oh, Pandavas died. Now the entire Hastinapur kingdom is meant for the enjoyment of Duryodhan only. They were happy, but they were crying apparently. So Krishna also, as it is common for people in this world to go to relatives' house and console when relatives die, so he was just going there just as a matter of duty. Although Krishna knows the truth about the Pandavas' existence. So Krishna went there. Meanwhile, Krishna and Balaram were absent from Dwaraka. So at that time, there are personalities like Shatadhanva and Kritavarma. So they became envious of Satrajit, because Satrajit had promised the hand of Satyabhama to some of these personalities, and they felt very envious that Satrajit did not give his daughter to us. Satrajit gave his daughter to Krishna. So now Krishna is not there, Balaram is also not there. So let us go and attack Satrajit. They all felt like that. So then, taking advantage of Lord's absence, Akrura and Kritavarma went to Shatadhanva and said, why not take the Shamantaka jewel? And now Akrura also came into this picture. So Akrura was a wonderful devotee of Krishna. And it was Akrura who was ordered by Kamsa to bring Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura. So Akrura did that job, and Akrura was a wonderful devotee of Krishna also. But still, when Akrura brought Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura, at that time, all the gopis were so upset. And Akrura did not even go and console the gopis. So gopis were considering Akrura to be Krura. He is so cruel-hearted. He is taking Krishna away from Vrindavan. And the gopis felt so bad. They were in deep anguish. They were so angry with Akrura. And at one point, gopis even said that this Akrura is not Krura. And later when Uddhava came to Vrindavan, then gopis saw the chariot of Uddhava, and the gopis thought that Akrura has again come back to take our flesh and offer us oblations to his beloved master Kamsa. So like to that degree, gopis were upset with Akrura. Yes, Akrura did not do anything objectionable. He was just following the he was just following the orders of the king, and he had sanction of Krishna also. So with the sanction of Krishna, with the order of Kamsa, Akrura was taking Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura, but still Akrura was held responsible because he did not go and console gopis. Although as a matter of duty we may have to do some things that may be unpleasant to some people and it is unavoidable, but still we can always take out some time and then go and console that person who is affected. So because of the inevitable circumstances, I am doing this, and although I am aware that you are not very happy with what I am doing, still I am obliged to do this. So some kind of clarification or some kind of explanations could be given with sensitivity to such people. Some consolation has to be done, but Akrura did not do that. So because of that, Akrura is getting involved in this conspiracy. So Akrura and Kritavarma, they both went to another personality named Shatadhanva and told, why not take Shamantaka jewel from Satrajit now? Satrajit promised his daughter to us, but then he has given his daughter to Krishna instead. Actually, everything is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, and as devotees, people are supposed to understand that if Krishna accepts Satyabhama, there is nothing to feel bad about it. But how can Kritavarma feel that, oh, Satyabhama is not given to us? Why Satyabhama has to be given to Krishna? So like that they were thinking. Although they are great personalities, somehow in this pastime they had to behave like that. And in Akrura's case especially, the reason is given that because of the displeasure of gopis, he got involved in this conspiracy. So then Shatadhanva went to Satrajit. Akrura and Kritavarma instigated Shatadhanva to go and take the Shamantaka money from Satrajit. So Shatadhanva went to Satrajit and he killed Satrajit in his sleep and took the Shamantaka jewel. And Satyabhama came to know that her father died. And Satyabhama went to Hastinapur and informed Krishna and Balaram. See, my father met with his death because of this Shatadhanva and all these people. So then Krishna and Balaram, they just came back from Hastinapur to Dwaraka just to console Satyabhama and some explore more into this matter. So Krishna took a vow to kill Shatadhanva, and Akrura and Kritavarma, they were also afraid that Krishna and Balaram were coming back. So Shatadhanva, who killed Satrajit, he went to Akrura and he went to Kritavarma and asked, because you instigated me, because you advised me, I killed Satrajit and took the Shamantaka jewel. So can you please support me? Can you please give me shelter? So Krishna has taken a vow to kill me. If Krishna has taken a vow to kill me, who will protect me? So you please protect me, like that he said. Then Shatadhanva, he was so fearful, he approached first Kritavarma to save his life, and Kritavarma said, I cannot dare to offend the Supreme Lords. Krishna and Balaram are our dear masters. They have protected us. So Kamsa and his followers and so many other demons have lost their wealth in their attempts to attack Krishna and Balaram. Who can dare to face Krishna and Balaram in a battle? So I don't think I can support you now. Kritavarma just directly denied any help to Shatadhanva. And after battling 17 times, Jarasandha was left without even a chariot. So to that degree, Krishna and Balaram defeated Jarasandha. So now you want me to pick up fight with Krishna or what? So I cannot give you any shelter. Then Shatadhanva, who was denied any shelter from Kritavarma, the Shatadhanva went to Akrura and begged Akrura for protection. Then Akrura also similarly told, so who would oppose the personalities of Godhead? At the age of 7, Krishna lifted Govardhan hill. We cannot support you in this. You have killed Satrajit, you have to face the consequences. Then Shatadhanva took this Shamantaka jewel and kept in the protection of Akrura and said, Akrura, just keep it with you and protect it nicely. Now it is not safe for me to stay in Dwaraka. I am just running away, so I am just going. So Shatadhanva thought that nobody is giving me shelter, so let me just run away from here. So Shatadhanva just left. He fled on a horse. Then Krishna and Balaram mounted on their chariots and then they started chasing Shatadhanva. And at one point, Krishna caught Shatadhanva and killed Shatadhanva. And he was searching for the Shamantakamani, but Shatadhanva did not have the Shamantakamani. So Shamantakamani was kept in the care of Akrura. So Krishna was searching everywhere, and Krishna and Balaram came quite away from the city of Dwaraka while chasing Shatadhanva. And now they found Shatadhanva, but they did not find the Jamantaka jewel. So in the garden of the outskirts of Mithila, Shatadhanva's horse collapsed and he began to flee on foot, and Krishna cut off his head with his Sudarshana Chakra. And later he came and told Balaram, saying that we have killed Shatadhanva uselessly. I didn't find this Samantaka jewel. Then Balaram said, okay, this Shatadhanva must have placed this Samantaka jewel in someone else's care. So you better go back and find out who is that person. But I want to visit this Mithila king, King Videha. So Balaramji, because he has anyways come so far as Mithila city, he wanted to stay for some time with the king of this Mithila city. So he stayed there and Krishna came back to Dwarka. So Balaram visited Mithila city. Then Krishna came back. Then meanwhile Akrura ran away. Akrura went away from the city of Dwarka and he went to Kasi. He went to Benares and he stayed there. And he was doing sacrifices and he was giving profuse amount of charity to people there. Because he was getting lot of gold from Shamantaka jewel, Akrura started doing so many sacrifices, and he was utilizing all the wealth given by Shamantaka Mani in a proper manner, in a decent manner, not so much for his sense gratification, but to conduct sacrifices and also to distribute charity to common people. So meanwhile, in Dwaraka city, there were certain natural disturbances. And actually these natural disturbances were created by Krishna's energy only. So people started thinking that Akrura is not there in Dwaraka city. That's why there are these natural calamities. Now Akrura is known to be a very great personality, that wherever Akrura is there, There is there is no famine, there is no drought, there is no inauspiciousness in such a place. So because of Akrura's absence, there is this natural disturbances. People started thinking like that. In the absence of Akrura, evil omens arose in the city, and citizens faced various problems. Some people proposed that troubles are because of absence of Akrura. But the point is, Krishna is personally present in Dwaraka Dham. How can the city of Dwaraka, the abode of Krishna, how could it face any natural disturbances even in the presence of Krishna? People missed this point, many people. So they started doubting that, oh, it's only because of absence of Akrura. Then hearing that Akrura is doing some sacrifices in Kasi, so Krishna came to know that, and Krishna called Akrura back to this Dwaraka Dham, and he told Akrura, just will not do anything to you, just show me the Shamantaka jewel. Then Akrura just brought out the Shamantaka jewel and then displayed it in front of Krishna. Krishna told Akrura, said, "O master of charity, surely the opulent Samantaka jewel was left in your care by Shatadhanva and is still with you. Indeed, we have known this all along. Since Satrajit had no sons, his daughter's son should receive his legacy. Please show the jewel once. Everyone knows it's with you as you are continually performing sacrifices." How can somebody perform so many sacrifices without having sufficient wealth? Because Shamantakamani was with Akrura, he was doing all this. So then, ashamed at Krishna's words, Akrura brought out the jewel and gave it to the Lord. And after the Lord showed it to his relatives, he gave it back to Akrura. So Akrura just got involved in this conspiracy because of his offense to the gopis of Vrindavan. And in this episode, we can also see that even the Lord also could be misunderstood by people in general. If the Supreme Lord Krishna is misunderstood by people, what is so surprising if people misunderstand us? And Krishna is innocent, but oftentimes we may not be innocent. So, or we may be innocent in that context, and we must have done some mistake in the past for which we are getting reaction now. So we need to understand that misunderstanding is quite common in this world. Even Krishna is not spared, but Krishna is very patient. Krishna is very tolerant and merciful towards Akrura also here. And because of Akrura's offense to the gopis, he got involved in conspiracy. So we need to understand that misunderstanding is common in this world. We need to face it and with due diligence. And we should also understand that if we offend great devotees, even unintentionally also, there could be some repercussions. So as much as possible, one should not cause any inconvenience to devotees. And if one is obliged to cause some inconvenience because of the force of circumstances, one can, at least if one notices that, one can always go and apologize or just give an explanation to that devotee that it's only because of circumstances and I didn't mean to hurt you, like that. So we saw the episode of Shamantaka jewel, and in the next episode we will see the other marriages of Krishna. So far we have seen 3 marriages of Krishna: marriage with Rukmini, Jambavati and Satyabhama. And in the next episode we will see how Krishna marries 5 more queens. Thank you all very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.